So welcome back everybody to my junky shop. We've got another project today that I think you're going to enjoy. So I've got the saw set up and I've got some scrap 2x4s, but what we're going to build today is a cheap little firewood bundler. All right, so my goal is to try to build this for 15 to 20 bucks, under 20 bucks. I think we're going to be able to pull it off. I just ordered in some 2x4s for another project, and they're currently $3.98 if you go with non-pressure treated. And I'm just going to use a scrap piece of plywood that I had up in the attic. So long story short, what we're going to try to accomplish here is being able to stack about a cubic foot, which is going to be multiple pieces of split firewood, and I want to be able to wrap them and make bundles. Now they make all kinds of awesome firewood bundlers out there. Some that are manual, some that are electric. Problem is they are extremely expensive. Way out of my price range. I am never going to move enough wood here, enough bundles, I don't believe, to justify one of those. I'd seriously considered making a fun welding project and building one, but again, no more bundles than I think I'm going to make. I can't even justify doing that. We've got other projects we need to get to. So long story short, I have started ordering some stuff in. We're about to build a firewood stand on the channel. That's coming up right after this episode. Well, we can't build a firewood stand if we're not gonna have bundles to sell in it. So I've picked up some stuff. That's what today's video is about. Let's build one. All right, so I found a scrap piece of plywood here. This is gonna be our backing where we're ultimately gonna shove our firewood to, but it needs to have a lip or a frame around it to hold our firewood in a bundle so we can wrap it. That's the method I'm gonna go with. So I need to pre-drill some holes through this in order to mount our boards to it that we just cut. I'm gonna do that. I haven't shown these in a long time. This is a drill bit already in a countersink. It's called Snappy Bits. Actually, one of you viewers kept recommending these and I finally decided to get them. These things are awesome. If you're looking for a little Christmas gift or something, man, that's a good stocking stuffer right there. All right, see what that did right there? Drilled my hole all the way through and gave me a countersink at the same time so my screw will sit nice and flush. Just looks good and it keeps me from splitting thin wood. And since I'm probably going to wind up leaving this outside, although to be under my barn, I'm going to use coated deck screws and everything is treated lumber. All right, so I cut these pieces 12.5 inches. I'll explain these measurements a little later. It's just something I whipped up here. Let's go ahead and screw these in. This piece I cut 12 inches. All right, so my typical firewood is around 16 inches long. And let me explain my measurements and thought process here. You see I just built another rough frame that matches this one, except this one has a back on it. So if I put two pieces of wood together, 2x4s are 3.5 inches, so that's only 7 inches across. Well, 7 inches does not come to the center point of 16-inch long wood. So if I put it in there, it's going to want to fall out, even with this at a slight angle. So I want to get to at least the center point of this wood, maybe slightly further, but I can't go too far because I bought 5-inch saran wrap. This is what I'm going to wrap around my bundles to hold them together, top and bottom. So we still have to leave a minimum of 5 to 6 inches out here. The more, the better. So that means we're going to have to space out, I'm going to say, to somewhere around 9 inches. Now when we stick a piece of wood in there, it doesn't want to fall out. And you can see we've got plenty of room to play with to get our saran wrap around the wood and not falling off the end of it. So ultimately what this means, I need to cut a couple more 2x4s to put on the outside. I'm not so overly concerned about this looking all pretty. Might do 2 top, 1 bottom to screw into the sides to give me my spacing. Now, as you can see, this is going to make a really big bundle. We're going to draw a line across the back side. We're not going to fully fill this, but in the future, if I want to make really, really large bundles and charge more, I can do that. So my inside measurements are 12 inch by 12 inch. Because my wood's 16 inch long, that'd be 1 foot times 1 foot times over a foot. So these would be extremely large bundles. We're looking for around 0.75 cubic feet to 1 cubic feet is about as big of a bundle as I think I want to make, because I'm going to try to sell them relatively cheap. So we're going to be filling up somewhere in this area right here. That'll be 7, 8 pieces of wood at least. We're going to figure all that out. All right, now it's time to get some legs on this thing. Again, we're gonna keep it nice, cheap, and easy. All right, let's make our first ever bundles. Hopefully this works out. You just don't really know when you build something like this. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. All right, so we're just gonna make a few bundles today because, again, don't forget, I don't even have a firewood stand yet, but by the time you're watching this, I've probably started building it. So I've tried to grab some of the smaller pieces because this hasn't been drying for a full year. This is some oak, but most of it was dead whenever I got it, or had already been hurricane blown down and had been cut down a few months. But just to make for sure we're not giving nobody no bad wood, I'm gonna go ahead and check the moisture on this. Because this is thin pieces, which is what I really want for bundled wood, I think people are gonna enjoy that, especially down here. We don't heat in the South inside with wood. Most people are burning this in fire pits, and they like small wood that's dry, that burns hot, gives off a quick flame, so they can sit around and enjoy it. Typically, if I'm doing bigger chunks like this, and I'm gonna throw a few in, I'll bust these in half. We'll go over to the splitter and do that. You wanna check the moisture on the inside. On the super thin stuff, we'll check it on the outside. So let me get my little handy dandy moisture meter out here. We'll make sure we're selling something that's good wood to people. I've got some wood that's older than this, but it was true standing dead trees, and it's got a minor little bit of rot, and anything that I'm gonna sell to the public is gonna be good quality stuff like this oak. All right, so here's my moisture meter. You can see it's reading low right now. We'll check the outside, 15.8. That is excellent super dry wood. Let's check this side, 15.4. Oh, 15.9. Anything under 20%, in my opinion, is ready to burn, and anything around 16 to 18% like this is excellent firewood. All right, now this thicker piece may not be as dry as I'd like on the inside. Let's see. Outside, just under 17%. Let's go pop this open. This is the thickest piece I have. Check the inside. It may be a little above what I'm looking for. All right, we'll just leave the splitter on idle and pop this in half. Well, it cracked nicely, that's for sure. Might be drier than I was thinking. Let's check the inside, and I made for sure this was the inside. I paid attention to where I split it. Let's see here. 19.2, definitely higher on the inside, but that is well within range for acceptable firewood. So good, this stuff has dried a little quicker than I was expecting. That means we have several cords that we could potentially sell, but a lot of it's going to be for our personal use. I don't plan on doing high volume firewood sales this year, maybe next year. All right, we'll just zoom in on this because this is what we want to pay attention to. Let me explain to you what I got going on. So we're 12 inches wide on the inside, and these stops, I actually moved them down. They are 10 inches from where the wood's going to sit to the top of this. So roughly 10 inches by 12 inches wide by 16-inch long firewood should be around 1 cubic foot. That is a really good sized bundle. And y'all noticed a minute ago, what I did was I put a bungee strap on this. I screwed it to the bottom, and I've got it to where to go across the top of these blocks that are set at 10 inches and hook over here to the other side. That way, whenever I start putting my wood in here, eventually it's gonna get up to the top. And if I go to pressing on this side as I'm wrapping, I'm afraid my wood's gonna flop out. Well, this bungee cord will hold it now. All right, so our first ever firewood bundles. Let's test this out. I hope it works well. Make sure we get it packed in there nice and good. I can already tell I'm probably gonna be giving away too much firewood. Bad for me, good for whoever buys it. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces, but because I split mine so small, that's probably gonna be closer to 7 or 8 standard size pieces. That's a pretty good firewood bundle. So before I made this video, I went locally and priced some out. Tractor Supply, for example, and Lowe's is my 2 local suppliers selling this. 0.75 cubic foot bundles, which is smaller than this. It literally has 4 to 5 pieces of firewood in it. For $7.99 to $8.99, depending on where you're looking. I'm gonna sell 1 cubic foot bundles, which is more than theirs. This size right here with more pieces in it, $5. I've already did the math. If it all adds up correctly, well, I should double what I can sell a cord for in bulk. That's worth my time for building things like this, taking the time to wrap, to build a firewood stand. I've got to get paid back for all that stuff. If I were to sell smaller bundles for the price that Lowe's and Home Depot is, I could literally triple or more my money per cord, but that's starting to feel a little bit greedy in my opinion. Now, the reason those companies have to sell stuff for that price is you've got too many middlemen, plus you've got shipping cost added in all that as well. It still went through too many hands, and the store ultimately has to turn a profit. So does everybody along the way that not only made it, sold it, but delivered it as well. So we're just cutting out the middlemen is what we're doing. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Some people are probably going to tell me I'm cutting my own throat. That does look like a pretty good sized bundle for $5. All right, so here's where we're really saving some money. Very cheap plastic wrap. This is, I think, 1,000 foot if I remember correctly, and it was like $7 for this. I can do a ton of bundles for this right here, literally having just a few cents of cost for wrapping involved in the bundle. Now I really wanted to do those firewood bags. They look awesome, but unless you're gonna buy them in bulk, and I'm talking hundreds at a time, they're anywhere from 75 cents to $1 a bag. So if I'm charging $5, there goes 20% of my potential profit right there, just in a bag that I'll never get back. While it looks good and it's easy to handle, I'm not throwing away 20% just on something that looks good. All right, so I'm gonna put my strap over. Although this doesn't feel like it'll flip out, there's enough weight in there. See now what my strap does? So if I really push down this side, it can't fall out on me. Now let's see. I don't really like this handle right here because I've got to roll it. And yes, I know it's probably gonna be really hard to get a tight wrap on this stuff. We don't have to do very much here. 3 times is probably good. Take our strap off. All right, so here's my thought. We'll just flip this around. We'll turn it sideways since it fits better that way. And we'll just do another wrap on the other side. 2 to 3 times, call it good. All right, this is actually rolling in my hand easier than I was thinking. I had planned on cutting this off and sticking a pipe in here so I could just hold on and this would spin on the pipe. That actually worked out pretty good. All right, looking at this, man, I might be making my bundles too big. What do y'all think? Well, they actually held together great with that quick little bit of wrap. Again, that's only a couple cents of wrap right there. If you added up, $7 for 1,000 feet. And I've got a nice tight bundle. So what do y'all think? Oak and potentially some cherry in the future, but pretty much always gonna be oak. Premium stuff, dried well. Is that too big of a bundle for $5? Should I be cutting back? I can tell you my first few customers are gonna get hooked up because I'm going that size, but looking at it, this is definitely bigger than what I'm seeing at the store. And again, they're $8+ in a lot of places I'm looking. Now, being in Florida, I never plan on doing high volume firewood. It's just not the way it's gonna work out. So I'm in no rush right here. I'm only probably gonna make, realistically, a few bags a week unless we get a really good cold snap. I just don't see the need for a high volume bundler. You never know though, I could be surprised. We could wind up selling a lot more than I realized here in the future. All right, I should have brought more wood down because I need one more small piece right there. All right, let's go with that. Man, that's a good looking bundle. Strap over. See how quick this is? I personally just do not see the need for one of those expensive bundlers. If I had a bigger operation, sure. That's probably good enough on the wraps right there. Let's go ahead and pop that off. And I love that I made this a different size. Let me explain. So we're 12 inches by 10 inches. We did that for the volume, but see the wood's in there pretty tight right now. So when I go to pull it out, I'm gonna have to fight with it just a little, but then we're gonna flip it this way. So the 10-inch tall stuff goes in the 12-inch wide opening and it fits in there nice and easy for another quick wrap and I can pull it right out. All right, that came out quite easy anyways. All right, we'll flip it around that way. Guess I don't need my gloves every time. Now in our firewood stand, I have every intention of doing open racks as well, like $20 racks. You see everybody does this. I'm not inventing anything new here. So somebody can buy it in bulk, which would be probably closer to 5 cubic feet. It's almost gonna be like they're getting a free bundle. We'll play around with the size of that, maybe 4.5 cubic feet, something like that. And I'll have no wrapping, no nothing. Just carry a tote down there with a tractor, shove it in, ready to go. If somebody wants a quick, easy bundle to throw in the back of an SUV or a car, I mean, you gotta think about it. A bundle this size is about perfect for somebody that's got a small fire pit and is just gonna have a quick afternoon fire. Maybe they're having a little get together, a football game, maybe they'll buy a couple of these. So for $5 or $10 for the occasional use, that's how a lot of people are, this should work out great. Us, we literally burn every single night, and I would burn through several bundles a night. That's why I've got to keep making our firewood in bulk. All right, y'all, this thing worked out beautiful. I'm so happy I made this for literally, I don't even think I have $15 in this, y'all. Looks like 2 long 2x4s, maybe 3. So for about 12 bucks, plus a scrap piece of wood, and I had the bungee strap laying around. I don't even think you need the bungee strap, honestly. You've got a firewood bundler right here. So I'll put a link down in the description for things like, well, if you're curious about the moisture meter, or if you want some of this wrap, or any of the drill bits or anything else I showed you earlier. It's also worth mentioning, you see, I did this at a 15-degree angle is what I cut this right here and rotated this back. That way, I'm doing 16-inch wood right here, but occasionally I'll do 18-inch wood. So if I do an even longer piece of wood, I wanted to have it at a slight angle back, so if I start really reaching the tipping point, well, when you tilt back even further, gravity is going to want to hold this back end down. Thus far, I think it worked out great. I think doing it at a slight angle is the way to go. Plus, it kind of points it up to you while you're working. These boards right here were 39 inches long, cut a 15-degree angle on them. Just did some like 2-foot legs down here for stability, all feels great. 12 inches wide opening. We're stopping at 10-inch mark right here. We can go up to 11 or heck even 12 if we wanted to. I doubt we'll ever make bundles that big. If anything, we may make smaller. So a 12 by 10 opening, I think is going to give you the perfect size bundle, especially if you cut your wood around 16 inches. All right, y'all, thanks for watching. Really cool build coming. I've been talking for years about doing a little firewood stand. Well, the time has come. That's coming up in one of the next episodes. Thanks for watching.